Welcome to Shastrikara's astrological series. In this series, as usual, I'm going to present you with different examples, taking different examples, some of the unique planetary combinations, and I use the events that have been happened and try to analyze these events to explain to you from an astrological perspective what's the reason for that particular event to happen in a native's life, and I'll try my best to explain to the extent, to the knowledge that I have it, to the extent possible. And please consider all these videos for educational purposes only. I'll try my best not to use any religion or use any abrupt languages over here while giving my explanation. Thank you very much for viewing this video, and please make sure that you resubscribe to my Shastrikara's astrological series in the YouTube, so that anytime when I post a new video, you will get an email. Thank you very much.
Welcome to Shastrikara's astrological series. This is the second example in regard to the sudden death analysis. The first one I posted on 26th March 2020, and today is 28th March 2020, and here I'm providing you a second example, and this is also based upon the Chandra Lagna and the transit planets, since I'm not aware of the time of the birth of the native. So I want to see various examples using Chandra Lagna and transit planets, how you can analyze an event, and by learning how to analyze an event happen, what is the reason for the event to happen, by learning it, it would be helpful for you to predict it down the road. Hope you will like this presentation too. Today on 28th March 2020, somewhere around early in the morning in US Standard Time, in Oklahoma, the congressman Mr. Tim Coburn died all of a sudden. He was 72 years old, and it is known that he had prostate cancer, and he was suffering in regard to that one. And on 28th March, that's today, he died early in the morning. So I took this, my second example, since the death was all of a sudden, even though he was having a prostate cancer and going through the treatment, the death was not expected by anyone. It was a sudden death. So I took this as my second example to do the analysis of from the Chandra Lagna and using the transit planets, what could be the reason for this gentleman's sudden death, and that too at the age of 72. This native, Mr. Tim Coburn, was born on 14th March 1948, and at this point the place of birth and the time of birth are not important, since we are not calculating the ascendant, or we are not looking at the dasa system. So what you need is just the planetary positions of all the important planets, and then using Chandra moon or the Chandra Lagna or moon as the Lagna, we will start doing the analysis. First and the foremost, when you look at it, the moon is in Aries, and moon is co-joined with Venus and Rahu. The very first thing that tells you is that whenever Rahu is co-joined with moon, that means Rahu is having a direct look on the 7th house, which is the Marakasthanama. So Rahu, being the terminator, is now taking a major role when it comes to the activating the Marakasthanama, which is 7th house. Now moon and Rahu are co-joined with Venus. Venus is the 2nd and the 7th house lord. Remember, 2nd and 7th houses are the Marakasthanamos, and the Lord Venus is Marakasthanadipati, is residing with moon and Rahu. So both Venus and Rahu are having a direct aspect on the 7th house from Chandra Lagna. This is the very first thing that we need to keep in mind. And the second thing is, who is the now that we have looked at the 2nd and 7th houses, the Marakasthanamos, the next thing we look at the Rogasthanamo. The Rogasthanamo lord is Mercury. Let's see, where is Mercury? Mercury is in the 11th house, which is owned by Saturn. That's the only thing we need to keep in mind right now, is Mercury is residing in the house owned by Saturn. That's all. And then comes the 8th house, because The 8th house lord is Mars. Let's see, where is Mars? First and 8th house lord is Mars. So the Lagnadipati is Mars. The what is the 8th house is Mutristhanadipati is also Mars. So the death will be, for the native, the death will be something that is violent because it is Mars, or something that is related to surgery or loss of blood or in a hospital. Those are all the things that are very closely related to Mars. So Mars, being the 8th house lord, is residing in the 4th house owned by Moon. So Mars is residing in the Lagnadipati's house. So you can understand that since from Moon, Mars residing in the house owned by Moon indicates that there is a strong relationship between Moon and Mars. Look at it. They have the Parivartana Yoga. Moon is residing in the house owned by Mars, and Mars is residing in the house owned by Moon, which is a Parivartana Yoga. That tells you that there is a strong bondage between the two planets. Next, Mars in the 4th house is co-joined with the natural Maraka, the Maraka planet Saturn. That's another drawback. The 8th house lord got more powerful, or the strength of the 8th house got more powerful, and of course naturally the first house lord too became more powerful because it has co-joined with another Maraka planet Saturn. Since Mars is the 8th house lord, let's go and see the houses that it aspects. Mars 4th aspect is on the 7th house. See, 7th house is the Marakasthanamu. Rahu at Venus, the 7th house lord Venus and Rahu and Moon, Lagnadipati. All the three are looking at the 7th house, and now the 8th house lord Mars is also looking at the 7th house. That's the first thing to keep in mind. The next thing is Mars direct aspect. Mars direct aspect is on the 10th house from Moon, and the owner lord of the 10th house is Saturn, and Saturn is co-joined with Mars. So when the Mars is looking at the house owned by Saturn and it co-joined with Saturn, Saturn being another Maraka, the bondage between Mars and Saturn got much stronger. And Mars 8th aspect is on the 11th house. First of all, 11th house owner is Saturn. So the 7th and 8th aspects of Mars is on houses owned by Saturn, and Mars is co-joined with Saturn. Also, if you look at it, Mars 8th aspect is on the 11th house where Mercury is residing. Remember, Mercury is the Rogasthanadipati, the 6th house lord. So the 8th house lord is now looking at the 6th house lord Mercury, and the natural Marakas Saturn is co-joined with the 8th house lord, and the 8th house lord and the Lagnadipati Moon, they are having the Parivartana Yoga. 8th house lord is also looking at the 7th house, which is the Marakasthanamu, and that is same 7th house is being directly aspected by the 7th house lord Venus and Rahu. So by looking at it, just by looking at the birth chart, you can say that which planets are more need to be considered when you are trying to look at the possibility of the death of this native and the health situations of this native is Mars, Saturn, Mercury, Venus, and by default Rahu. Now that I had explained the natal chart for this particular native, let's go and superimpose the transit planets on the date he died. That is 28th March 2020, which is today. Today morning, early in the morning, he died. So today, on 28th March, if you look at the transit planets, transit moon is in Aries. Okay, and transit Venus is in 12th house from natal moon. Rahu is in the 11th house from natal moon, and then you got Cancer is empty, and then you go all the way till Saturn and Mars. They both are in Capricorn, and transit Mercury is in Aquarius. Transit Sun is in Pisces or Meena. So if you look at immediately, the first thing that you will be noticing is that Sun, Moon, Mercury and Jupiter. All these 4 planets, the natal and the transit planets are co-joined. So transit Sun is co-joined with transit natal Sun. Transit Mercury, remember Mercury is the 6th house lord. So transit Mercury has co-joined with the natal Mercury, and transit Jupiter is co-joined with natal Jupiter, and as usual transit Moon is co-joined with natal Moon. That's the first thing that tells you how the transit planets, by co-joining with the natal planets, how strong they became. Next thing you have to see is the direct aspects. Transit Saturn and transit Mars are in Capricorn, and they are having a direct aspect on natal Saturn and natal Mars. Remember, in the natal chart, Saturn and Mars are co-joined in Cancer, and in the transit today on 28th March, again Saturn and Mars are co-joined, but this time in Capricorn, which is exactly the 7th house from Cancer. So this clearly tells you that since the Marakasthanadipati Mars became so strong, the transit Mars and the natal Mars are having a direct aspect. Mars became very strong, and it has co-joined with natal and transit Saturns, and the natal Mars 8th aspect is on natal Mercury, and that's the same place where transit Mercury is also residing. And above all this combination, the next one is natal Moon and transit Moon. They both co-joined, and Moon, so just like natal Moon, transit Moon is also now co-joined with natal Rahu, natal Venus, and they are having a direct aspect on the 7th house, and 7th house lord is Venus. And look at where the Venus is. The Venus is in the 2nd house. Transit Venus is in the 2nd house from natal Moon. So both the natal Venus is having a direct aspect on the 7th on its own house, 7th house, which is Marakasthanam, and the transit Venus is residing in the 2nd house, which is its own house, which is also Marakasthanam. So this combination, the Moon, Venus, Mercury, Saturn and Mars, these 5 planets are transit planets. These 5 transit planets are highly responsible for this particular native to die on this day. If you look at the chart, a moon, transit moon, was in a what you call Rashi Sandhi around between midnight of 28th March till I think 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. on 28th March. So that means moon was partially around 28 degrees or 29 degrees in Aries, and that means it is in a Rashi Sandhi. It was about to go into the second Aries, Taurus, Taurus, which is the 2nd house from natal moon, where transit Venus is also residing. So moon is now in the Rashi Sandhi, is between the 1st house and the 2nd house. That means some part of the moon impact is on natal moon, natal Rahu and natal Venus. Some part of the transit moon impact is along with transit Venus. So this particular Rashi Sandhi event had made the date to die around in an odd time, like early in the morning. Usually, if I want to look at the longevity of any native, I prefer to look at the Bhrigu Chakra Padathi more, and to the possible extent, I don't look at the Marakasthana until the native turned 71, or entered the 72nd year. So the reason, because in Bhrigu Chakra Padathi, Saturn is the cycle ruler. Once the native completes his or her 72nd birthday, that means the 73rd year is started. So for this particular native, on 25th February 2020, Saturn, according to Bhrigu Chakra Padathi, Saturn became the cycle ruler, and Saturn will rule from that period for 12 years. Saturn will rule this particular native, and according to Bhrigu Chakra Padathi, Saturn, the cycle ruler, will activate the 1st house. That means it activates its natal position. Remember, whenever a Maraka Adhipati, natural Maraka Saturn activates its house, all the planets inside that are co-joined will have a direct will be 100% get activated too, and the direct aspect wherever the planet Saturn is, from there the seventh house, which is the direct aspect, gets activated to 100%. Here for this particular native, when Saturn activated its natal position, natal Mars also got activated. Remember, natal Mars is the Lagnadipati and the Mrityusthanadipati. So the once the natal Mars got activated, and according to the natal Saturn, and also natal Saturn activates the seventh house from its position where transit Saturn and transit Mars are also residing. That's the reason why this particular native is like, I should say that this particular native might be having some sort of a medical issue starting 25th or 26th of February, and it took almost 30 days. The reason why it took 30 days is because you have to look at it. The moon has to make the full cycle. The moon has to come back to the position. Transit moon has to come back to the place where its natal moon is residing, and where it co-joins with the second and the seventh house Lord Venus, and co-joins with the Rahu, and they all are looking at the seventh house, the Marakasthanamo. And also, if you look at, like I said earlier, the natal moon is in Rashi Sandhi between the first house and the second house, and in the second house there is transit Venus residing. So that's the reason why the event did not happen before 26th of March. Somewhere between 26th, somewhere on 26th or 27th, the native's body health situation might have got worsened, and which did not come up, and all of a sudden on 28th March early in the morning the native died. So here, this using the second example, I was trying my best to do the analysis based upon the Chandra Lagna and the transit planets, and I'm trying my best to explain to you how the transit planets, especially the malefic planets, when the transit planets, malefic transit planets is in a malefic house, how the native, what how the native's health or longevity will be in challenging. And this is the second example. I've tried to explain some more down the road. Thank you for viewing this video, and please use this for educational purposes only.